Ontario Premier Doug Ford released the figures, and they don't look too promising. Meanwhile, safety masks are harder to find than toilet paper, and a Canadian scientist at W.H.O is in hot water. This is the Great White North Report. On Friday, Ontario Premier Doug Ford released his government's projections on the CCP virus death rates, and he urged everyone in the province to practice social distancing. People have been already practicing that more or less, but there's some idiots out there who just don't learn. Now, they're predicting that the CCP virus could kill 3,000 to 15,000 people in Ontario alone, according to modeling. Now, modeling is just numbers. It could be more, it could be less. Hopefully it's less. In Ontario, most things are closed, and they are urging people not to gather in large groups and to keep at least 6 feet apart. I myself, I've been laid off temporarily for the next 30 to 60 days while we wade through this. Now, currently there is a mask shortage of really good, really high quality painter's masks and medical masks in Canada. 3M faces pressure from Trump to stop exporting the N95 mask to Canada. Trump's just doing what he has to for his own people. But what it comes down to is that 3M currently makes about 1.1 billion N95 masks a year, but none of these are made in Canada. Now, I'm pretty sure Canada makes some type of mask, but it's not up to the health standards that these particular ones do. We are expecting millions of masks as 3M faces pressure over equipment exports. Prime Minister Trudeau is not seeking punitive measures against the U.S. after Washington ordered the face masks produced in America should not be exported to other countries. Again, he understands that the United States is looking out for its own citizens first before it deals with anyone else. I quite agree. If the masks were made in Canada, I would make sure we have more than enough for our own citizens before we start shipping to other countries. Let this be a lesson to us that we should start manufacturing stuff in our own country, that we can meet our own demand. But there's a reason why we have a shortage of masks right now. It's because people are hoarding them, or they're profiteering. So this lady is from mainland China. She immigrated to the United States with her husband. And she's agreeing because she went all around Central Florida, buying up all the masks. This was about a month and a half ago, before the United States really woke up to the dangers of the CCP virus. And this also was happening out in BC, and probably Toronto as well. I know where I'm from, it's hard to find masks because people were buying them up and importing them. But this lady, what she's doing is she's buying them, and then she's shipping them off to China at a profit. She has connections over in China, so she dodges most of the export and import fees. And she makes a killing off this. This is why there's shortages here, and this is why we need controls. But even when we do put controls, we don't really enforce them. Baby milk is another thing. In Australia, they really get hit hard. Where gangs go in, they buy 2 tins, which are allowed, and then there'll be like 10 of them. They'll buy 2 tins each, they'll come out, they'll stop them outside, then they'll go back inside, and they're coming and going. She doesn't many masks to you. She obviously doesn't need She's excited that she has it. She found this many masks in this one store.
Oh, you find it? Yeah.
Earlier in the video, she said there weren't many Chinese in this area, which is why she was able to find this many.
Yeah.
Now, last February, the World Health Organization, they sent a team to China to investigate the CCP virus. Now, they sent a Canadian, Dr. Bruce Aylward, who has experience with international outbreaks of Ebola, Zika, and polio. So he was tasked with leading top emergency officials in an international team of experts investigating this virus on the ground in China. Now, there's been a lot of controversy over this because of his remarks.
So the world would be access the expertise of China, and they've done this at scale. They know what they're doing, and they're really good at it, and they're really keen to help. If I had COVID-19, I want to be treated in China.
So that was an interview Bruce did back in late February 2020, And this was before it became apparent that China had massively covered up a lot of what was going on with the CCP virus. And it sounds like he's praising something. Like the videos that have come out of China from the ordinary citizens show a different reality than what he's been shown. The WHO is getting most of their information from the Chinese Communist Party themselves. Most of it's choreographed. Whenever official visits happen, things are choreographed to a T. And he should open his eyes as well. Oh yeah, you want to be treated in China? Go right ahead, buddy. Let's see how well that works. Hope they weld you into your home or put you in a box on a white van.
W.H.O. considered Taiwan's membership. Hello?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
When Aylward was asked about Taiwan, he stalled for close to 10 seconds and avoided a reporter's question, but the reporter persisted.
I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
We decided to give Dr. Aylward another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China.
Aylward is an Assistant Director General at the WHO and is a Canadian-trained epidemiologist. Ever since the pandemic broke out, he has constantly sung China's praises.
I left inspired and with a deep admiration for, the common Chinese people that I worked with.
So as you can see from the video, Dr. Aylward dodged the question on Taiwan. This guy is supposed to be a Canadian, and he's already skipping on freedom of speech. He's pandering to the Chinese, and it makes me wonder how much he's been bought by them. Pretty despicable. In Canada, we value freedom of speech and human rights. China is one of the worst violators of both those principles that we Canadians hold dear, and this guy is playing along to the CCP game. This guy disgusts me. I don't care about his credentials or what he's done. He's put his principles aside, and he's taken everything the CCP has fed him at face value. What a crock. This guy, you can stay in China there, buddy. So the World Health Organization is well known for its corruption. I think they spent of a $2 billion budget, they spent $809 million just on airfare and 5-star hotels alone. God knows how much they're actually spending on other things, or how much bribes they get from certain countries. Anyway, Canada, over the last 2 years, we paid almost $14 million US to the World Health Organization. Now, when you break that down by population, that means every Canadian is paying 36 cents US to the World Health Organization. The United States, they're paying over $118 million. They represent about 15% of the World Health Organization's budget. And when you break it down by their population, they're paying 37 cents per every citizen. Okay? Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you times that by 335 million people, that's what it equals out to. And that's over a 2-year span. Then you look at a country like China. They only paid $37,898 million US to the World Health Organization. You do that per citizen, they're only paying 2 cents per citizen to the World Health Organization. So there's a huge discrepancy on who pays what. And don't tell me that China's a poor country, because they got the second largest economy in the world, and they've been really shoving things down everyone's throat lately. The CCP virus just illustrates how much they've tried to cover this up, and I'll get into that in a minute. So I'm all for pulling out of the World Health Organization because it hasn't done anything. The amount of screw-ups they've done from the start of this epidemic to now are unbelievable. While doing my research for all this, I also follow a couple of guys from ADV China, Lao-86, who's on my right, and Serpentza. Now, Lao-86 on his channel, he found some very interesting stuff about how the CCP virus started and who was patient zero. And there's been a lot, and it's a really interesting video. I'm going to put a link in the description, and I urge people to go check it out because it does explain a lot of stuff. And kind of connects all the breadcrumbs together.
In my research in my last video, it wasn't hard to follow a paper trail left by the CCP themselves. In my last video, I found it very suspicious that the official Wuhan Virology Lab had a job opening from November 18th of 2019, asking for scientists to come research the relationship between the coronavirus and bats, until the next day that another job posting followed the previous post. And this is where it got big.
Anyway, that's all I have for today. For all you Canadians out there, keep safe, and hope everything works out well and we get all through this together. Till next time, I'm Roman Diesel VM out here.